Initially, it was the dream of being anonymous, but you know there was one fundamental flaw in that, which my friend Banksy didn't make, which was people already knew who I was. You can't be anonymous when, you know, it's impossible. Bonjour, je suis Damon Albarn. Vous regardez Music Masters. Usually I find myself absent-mindedly humming something, and then if I'm near a piano, which is most of the time, I'll just work out whatever it is I'm humming, and then maybe there might be some sort of thing I want to sing about or something that's just come into my head. It's all very abstract when it starts. Sometimes songs just happen, and the words and the music and the structure happen in real time, and that's quite magic when that happens. Ordinarily, I kind of mumble. It's like the classic Paul McCartney story of how he wrote Yesterday. It started off with scrambled eggs.
Scrambled eggs. Oh my baby, how I love your legs.
You know, and it's more to do with the syllables and the meter. And sometimes it's quite hard to invest meaning into something which sounds really good just as sort of a random collection of words. But I'm a classic mumbler. My evolution, well, there's very little evolution. I was early on in the genesis of Blur. I wrote all the songs on the piano.
I look around me and feel you are ever so close.
And this is no slur on Elton John, because I love him dearly. But my songs were a bit kind of Elton John-esque, because I studied classical piano till I was 18. And it's quite hard to write really simple indie sort of indie songs. So I had to learn the guitar really quickly. But I was kind of, my life was about to not go the way I wanted it to go at that time if I didn't learn how to write simple songs. If I played an E chord, which is like the easiest of all the chords on a guitar, it's like that. It just uses those three. And then if I put my thumb over the top, and I kept it in that shape, then I could play every chord. And then if I moved it down, I could play every minor chord. So I worked out a way of playing simple chords really effectively, really simply. Everyone reacts differently to it. A lot of people react very badly to it and have to go through this terrible journey of kind of sort of, it usually ends in kind of, a pledge to complete sobriety. And would I say now, after so long, would I prefer not to be famous? Initially, it was the dream of being anonymous, but there was one fundamental flaw in that, which my friend Banksy didn't make, which was people already knew who I was. You can't be anonymous when, it's impossible. You always have to have been anonymous to be anonymous. It's not possible any other way. When I first went to Mali, I went there with my melodica, which is, anyone who doesn't know, it's about that size. It's got a small piano keyboard on it, and you blow it. And it's very mobile, which is one of the reasons why I took it, but you can't tune it. So it's also difficult to play with other people unless they're all in the same tuning as you are. And it's also very loud, so if you're unsure about what you're playing, it can be very embarrassing, For me, that was a very good exercise. And I spent years just sort of sitting behind drum kits in little clubs in Mali and Nigeria and Congo, just playing when no one could hear me because I was, the rhythms were so complex and it's really difficult to become completely comfortable with them, especially with an instrument that's so loud and kind of in your face. So For me, it was just a slow process of becoming familiar and comfortable, and then, you know, there's this wonderful transformation that takes place where you suddenly realise that you're playing with your eyes closed and you're playing within the music, not as an outsider, you know. And I think the energy comes to you once you step onto that stage. I think it's good to just be completely empty before that, so you're open. Because if you're full of something before you go on the stage, then it's hard to fill it with anything else. You know, you're carrying something, and you should be light when you go on the stage. You can get a 20-second kind of snippet onto Snapchat, onto TikTok. You know, 2 weeks later, you can have 10 million streams. It wasn't like that when I was young. You had to do a lot more. You know, so I mean, if you don't have to do a lot, you get lucky and you land on the right algorithm. But is that necessarily a positive thing for the development of the artistic soul? We'll have to wait, won't we? I think it's too early to tell. In Iceland, in my front room, looking out the window with 12, 13 other musicians. But the fundamental was the idea of someone, reaching out to find some sort of solace.
Royal morning blue, you are safe.
And in the distance, a glacier and a volcano. I suppose one of the first things that struck me, and has over the last 20 years, is that the glacier has shrunk quite remarkably. So if it's a meditation on your what you see in front of you, then you know, one of the big signifiers is that I was expressing my anxiety anyway, even before the pandemic, and I suppose so. Even though it feels like it's a record that and it indeed is a record that was kind of finished within the pandemic, it was dealing with those kind of tropes anyway. You know what I mean? Isolation, kind of a longing for rebirth and purification.
Watching the embers fall.
I seem to have multiple publics, so they have different expectations. You know, I think the Gorillaz public don't necessarily see what I do as being me-centric, but obviously people who are into my solo stuff or would be more interested in that aspect of it. I hopefully know who I am, regardless of what situation I'm in. I think at the end of the day, cult of the personality is really not interesting, really. When it comes to music, I think it's just the thing itself. Things become popular because of the cult of the personality as opposed to the actual quality of the music.
Konbini.